And ultimately, I think that's what's happened. I've been invaded. We've
Mm.
been invaded, like, and they took down the old world, and now they're still in control, and they're using that from just controlling our minds, right?
Who do you
Making us.
think they are?
Who do I think they are? I tend to think that we're dealing with um, like a consciousness that's probably not, a human, I don't know, extra dimensional or something. I guess it goes along with stories, like the devil and that. There's some kind of evil, jealous consciousness that's got in here and is taking over people, right? Making deals with them first of all, buying them, and then the whole, sell your soul, the devil
Mm.
part. Because that's what we tend to see, right? It doesn't seem like it's, like an ethnicity or a certain people or that are doing the work at least. Now, when we get to who are the hierarchy of that, who are the actual ones carrying out the decisions and running the whole sort of business of it, I think that would definitely have to go down to, a certain group of people that we cannot mention, which is why most of the reason why I think it's them, because you cannot even say their name unless you want to get videos taken down and end up, getting done for hate speech.
Right, right. So you're not talking about the bloodline families, or are you?
Well, yes and no, because they're all part of it. I guess I can say the word Zion, like
Hmm.
Zionist, which is who I think they are. You can trace them back to Khazaria, which is basically the Ukraine, which you can still see all the stuff going on there. I think it was all set up by the bloodline families, and it goes back in Khazaria. There was this country, and no one would go through it because if you traveled through the country, and you're, of any significance, they would just murder you and steal your identity and go out into the world and like get credit on your name and just basically just get everything they could out. Like they'd pretend to be other people. This is how they sort of started getting money and everything. And then they ended up getting surrounded and the people who were sort of trying to subdue them said, look, basically you have to pick a religion to be. And they went, oh, well, we're
Hmm.
Israelites.
Mm.
So and that's where the Zionist movement came from. So they're not actually the the Israelites, the Hebrew people, but they have
Mm.
sort of taken over and claim to be, and that they're the ones masquerading as the word that cannot be said right today.
I was
No,
just
no,
thinking that aligns perfectly with the Rothschilds
mm,
because they converted.
yep,
That is not their history. Their ancestry is not that religion. They converted, so that
yep.
ties in.
So they all did, but they only false converted, right? They didn't
Mm.
actually. It was just for show,
Mm.
and, and we can see what their actual beliefs are, right? Through the media, right? Through the pop
Yeah,
stuff, through all the stuff, all the ceremonies they have.
yeah,
They're telling us what they actually believe.
yeah.
Um,
I think that film Eyes Wide Shut was filmed at the Rothschilds' house, Manor,
so
mansion,
yeah, yeah. I believe you're correct.
based upon
Uh,
one of their gatherings, isn't it?
yeah, and there's that famous photo from the 70s, the
Mm.
Rothschild party.
Oh, that's actually scary.
It's very weird. This is what these people get up to.
You wouldn't want
Uh,
to wake up in the middle of the night and have that picture hanging on your wall.
well,
It's an odd looking. Mm.
it is. I just thought, is that where that whole phrase, waking up with a horse's head in your bed comes from? Because you're literally wearing them, right? You take it off with even but it's also strange. It's also provable, and they're still doing it. And now they're doing it in, concerts and in film clips.
Yeah.
That famous footage of the opening of the tunnel in where was it? Switzerland, I believe, where they had like, have you seen that? I
No, I
can't
haven't.
remember. But and yeah, big parades, same kind of stuff, dressing up, with animal heads on and as ghouls and all this. And they're marching down the street, and on the side there's all these seats and all these people sitting there in like tuxedos, and it's really weird. You'll know them for their acts, right? For the way they act. Like people are what they do, not what they say.
Mm,
I think that's a good way to look at them because they tell us all this stuff and they're this and they're that, but what are they actually doing? You can't be someone who is God-fearing or even believes in God, he wants to do the right thing, who then goes and decides to put fluoride in all the water systems.
mm.